Hello, everybody, and welcome to the IGF Leadership Series podcast. Today, we are joined by the CEO of one of the leading and innovative operators in the market, Charles Lee. Charles, how are you today?
I'm very well. Thanks, Curtis. Good to see you.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you for spending some time with us. Hopefully, we can get through some questions and have a good conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, we haven't got much time, so I'll just get straight into it. One of the things that I really wanted to kind of firstly get your perspective on was, just looking at the market and, as both the sports and online casino sectors become increasingly saturated, what do you see as Kwiff's main catalyst for growth going forward?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I think we've got a major advantage on a lot of players in the market in that we own our own technology. So that's our biggest asset. Right. And what gives us is the ability to offer a differentiated product to others and to different players. So a player in Africa, for example, can get a completely different product to someone in the US. So I think going forward and building on that as we open different territories, that's something that we can really leverage in the market. It's actually one of the founding principles of Kwiff is that we want to use the technology, data, automations in order to minimize those sort of operational functions. Okay. Where it's effective to do so, meaning we've got the ability to scale very fast as well, whilst also being lean. So I think strategically, we're pretty well positioned. If you look structurally at the business, we had a huge amount of investment in the company at the beginning, investing in our technology and our brand in the UK. And then in terms of last year, we were EBITDA positive for the first time in our history. This year is very much an investment year. So we'll be break even this year, and then we'll look to be profitable next year as well. So we can see the sort of trend changing of if you own your own technology and you can give the player what they're looking for and giving them that sort of seamless experience, then you can see it sort of play out in the numbers a lot. Excellent.
I mean, it's interesting. You mentioned just then about, being able to give the player what they're looking for. And I feel as if, sentiments similar to that, like things about engaging player experience. These are kind of words that often get bandied around a lot by gaming providers. But I mean, for you personally, Charles, what does this really mean? I mean, and how can this best be delivered by an operator?
Yeah, we hear it all the time, right? So
yeah.
Everyone always speaks about it. What does it actually mean? I mean, if we look at sort of the UX, the UI of our product and our platform and how we engage players from different multiple angles, right? So starting from the platform itself, we decided to build our apps on native technology. So we use iOS, Android, all of the native features that they can have. Other operators or third-party systems often look to use web wrap technology. That can be buggy and slow. Even if it's a minor sort of effect on the player, that can be really frustrating for them. So we try to avoid that where possible. We've also developed our web app. We'll use that more in international markets. And also we use that on desktop as well. So it gives us the flexibility for the player to choose what platform they want to play on and get the experience possible there from a sort of platform perspective. And a smooth sort of experience, really.
Yeah.
And moving on to just the simple layout of the app, right? So there's huge amounts of experience that other operators have gone through and iterations of their apps over the last 20 years. Yeah. So we can learn from that. We do learn from it. We keep the design in-house of our apps, but we take note of what others have done. And then what we're looking to do is keep clean design throughout the app, make sure the apps are fast and responsive, and deliver every user a different experience depending on where they are and what content they're wanting to look at. So we'll be steered by the data and how we feed that to them. So personalization is a key factor for one of our founding principles as well of what we're looking to do. Then I suppose if you look at the sort of entertainment side of it, you've got the CRM, you've got bonusing and various other things. We've got our own in-house proprietary technology that we've developed with our reward hub, as we call it, which is our bonus engine. Right. And we don't just keep that as a separate sort of element, siloed away. We put that within the product. So as far as we can, we put CRM within the product, so the player sort of is engaged with it, and gamifies the product as much as possible. Right. Then we balance that out with the usual sort of SMS and email and programmatic advertising that all operators use to give a sort of rounded experience to the customer, both in-app and externally. But above all, with all of that, the key is understanding what the data that's coming through, and whether it's via A/B testing and we do that throughout all departments with our company, to understand what works, what doesn't work, what the players are telling us, and try different things. And we can do that because we own our own product roadmap, so we can define what technology we want to build, what features we want to put in the app. If we want to add different sports, different casino providers, different payment methods, that's all down to us, really.
Excellent. So, I mean, from here, I suppose the key to it is just being able to give your customers as much options as possible, right? And getting to know them as close as possible through the data. Yeah,
you don't want to spam them. That's the least attractive form of communication that you can get through an operator. I get it every day from different ones. You want to give them the right targeted communication.
Yeah.
And players will tell you what they want. They can tell you that by how they bet. They can tell you that by how they engage with your applications and the time spent there. So as long as you're looking at that data effectively,
yeah,
then you should be able to make informed decisions there.
Understood. Okay, excellent. And of course, I don't think we could have a conversation about iGaming without mentioning responsible gaming. Of course, I mean, it's played such a large role, increasingly so since the pandemic and things like that. And I just wonder, as I said, responsible gambling is always going to be top of the agenda. But, Kwiff actually keep, if I'm not mistaken, all of their RG operations in-house. I mean, how easy is it to reach those all important RG objectives, without the use of, some of those third-party solutions, which arguably might be a cheaper or even easier option to use,
Yeah, I mean, it's rightly top of the agenda for all. And if it isn't, it should be. Mm-hmm. And as a business, we've invested huge amount in compliance. We've got a UK license. That's one of the highest regulated territories in the world. So our platform is built to handle multi-jurisdictional territories and have the right amount of responsible gambling appropriate to the licensing. Right. It is easy to have it all in house, that's for sure. But it's definitely important to do so. Right. Complete control over your operation. You can't outsource your regulatory obligations, so you've got to handle it in house. Really, is the way I see it. Okay. Very clear asset if you can handle that effectively. Yeah. We do use external data to help paint a profile of a customer. Yeah. That fits into our systems. And what we're seeing is data is king in protecting players. So it's the most reliable source we use is our data warehouse. That's where all the data feeds into. All operators will gather data from the point of registration with customers, and we can see huge power in linking all that data together, be it external, internal, and then have it and see it from the player's life cycle. We're analyzing thousands of data points on a customer's account, all feeding into our proprietary algorithms, right, which then produce RG scores, AML scores, and these scores then have hundreds of different automated actions linked to them on customer's account. As you say, a third-party solution could be quicker to launch, it could be cheaper. But is it addressing the problem as an operator should? I'd question that. Okay. Does it provide a holistic player view like our back office can? I don't think so. And they could have delays or faults, as you can get with any third-party provider, which could cause the player harm. So we see it's better to keep it in-house, no matter how stressful it is.
I can imagine.
The key here is like with the other elements we've spoken about.
Yeah,
it's what the player's telling you. Third parties won't always see all of your data that you're gaining from a player.
Yeah,
and therefore you're losing a huge amount of critical data unused And if you don't consider what the player tells you and the documents they're sending you through the life cycles, you could be sort of missing out, really.
Understood. So I suppose, that in-house aspect really just gives you that full control and an ability to kind of have a robust kind of view over everything,
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, be it what they're betting on the sportsbook, casino, documents they're sending to you. We spend a lot of time on our back office developing that so it can be a hub for all of those different data points. As I say, we take external data as well, but that feeds into our systems, and that's how we use it, rather than relying on a third-party system wholesale. Because if you don't use that right as well, that can be a problem.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for that. Really, really insightful. And I mean, keeping it on the aspect of, putting the customer first. And one kind of the key parts of the customer journey, of course, is payments, deposits, withdrawals. And I just wanted to kind of get your opinion on the changing landscape around Europe. And as new expansion opportunities emerge across the continent, how have you been able to localize your payment strategies to ensure a frictionless customer journey, regardless of the jurisdiction that it is?
Yeah, I mean, we're fortunate in that we have a seamless wallet. It's all handled in our back end.
Oh, excellent.
It's completely free-flowing customer experience, be it sportsbook, casino, any other product that we offer. So our platform takes into account territory, licensing, transacting currency.
Device?
Device as well. So we recognize all of those, even IP, and anything that the customer is giving us, it recognizes. And then it can point the player towards the appropriate payment methods that are either live in their territory or could be available to them, for example. So again, it goes back to, you want to give the player choice, right? Some deposit via PayPal, some want to deposit credit card, not in the UK, but card or credit card further afield. If we look at, we've got a couple of licenses in Africa as well. So if you look at Africa, for example, it's mobile payments. And they have pay bill numbers and various other things. So there's all these different ways of transacting. And the key is to have the user experience the same, regardless of what method the user is using. We're fortunate to have that.
Right. You make it sound very easy, but
it's not. It takes a hell of a long time to build and put it together. But that time is well spent, because the player feels the benefit of it. I mean, the key with all of these elements is, if you let the technology do what it's meant to do, the player doesn't feel any friction throughout their journey. If using a normal, like people are using debit cards for a very long time, they're using a debit card, that process is the same as if they're doing a mobile payment in Africa. And behind the scenes, there's lots of different things going on, but the front end looks very, very similar.
Excellent. Now, just lastly, before I let you go, just on the topic of Europe and other kind of territories, you mentioned before you've got obviously a UK license, which is fantastic. I mean, how are the licenses that you have acquired, obviously including the UK, being used as a framework for expansion going forward?
I think they're strategically very, very important, and that's a big point of when I became CEO in January 2020. Alongside, we took over the business alongside Mike, our CFO, and Nick, our CTO. We had joined the company, all of us, between the end of 2018 and the beginning of 2019. And we were just UK based, so we had the UK GC license, which of course was our bread and butter. And international had been sort of spoken about a lot, but never really acted on. So a big part of what we set about to do was open out the technology, and make sure we have a platform that is scalable, can go to any territory, but to really maximize that, you also need the licenses to match it. So we've looked at different areas where we can be incredibly competitive, different areas that we can prove with our platform that it can go anywhere. So I spoke about the 2 African licenses. We see them as really long-term strategic goals, and we'll look to launch them in 2022, so next year. We've also got an Irish sports betting license. We've got an Isle of Man license for international, and we'll look to pick up where it makes sense and it's effective to do so, the right licenses based on our sort of roadmap as well.
Yeah.
Where we think we can compete. Those African territories, for example, I think third-party solutions are going to struggle to penetrate those markets.
Really?
They're big platforms. They're very hard to adjust. Those players want slightly different solutions. They want more ACCA-based products within the sportsbook. They want a lighter product than often third-party solutions offer, and they want an entertaining product most of all. So I think we can adapt our products to those markets, just as we can towards the US or the UK, where we've had good success so far.
Wow, excellent. I mean, you said 2022. It sounds far away, but it's actually very near in a few weeks.
Coming up quick, right?
Very quick. Yeah. So exciting times ahead. Well, Charles, honestly, I wish we had more time and we could, because there's a lot of topics I'm sure we could talk about for forever, but that's all we have time for today. But Charles, I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining me on the Leadership podcast today. Also, I'd like to say thank you to the viewers for joining us. Any last words, Charles, before we sign out?
No, that's it. I seem to have turned blue for some reason. Lighting. I don't know what's going on. But no, thank you very much, Curtis. I enjoyed that.
No problem. It brings out your eyes, Charles. So
that's kind. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, guys. And we'll see you on the next episode of IGF Leadership Series podcast.